Morning, folks. This is CB Mac, and we're about to make some black walnut ink. You're going to need a pair of gloves, some distilled water, some Wheatley vodka for your preservative, a couple of rubber bands, some utensils to stir your ink and strain your ink, and then some walnuts, black walnuts. I've got about 25 of these black walnuts that I'm going to wrap up in this gray old t-shirt to use as a strainer. And then we have our cast iron pot that we're going to boil up this water and black walnuts to make a nice ink. So let's get started. Okay, as you can see, I've almost used up my whole gallon of distilled water. I've taken my walnuts, tied them up and rubber band them into a bundle, and put them into my cast iron of water. And as you can see, the walnut bundle can float so it won't touch the bottom of the burner of the pot. We're going to put that on a slow, low fire and let it sit and simmer for about an hour or two and see what color we get. Already you can see we've got a nice dark, rich color of liquid coming out just from it sitting in the water for a few minutes. So we should have a nice rich dark color soon. As this simmers and boils down, we can add the rest of our water if we need to keep our t-shirt from burning. We'll check back in a few minutes. Okay, so after boiling our walnut bundle for a couple of hours and now letting it cool, we're going to take and strain and pull out the walnuts, and squeeze this ink out of this bundle without making a mess, hopefully. Because we want to collect every bit of that precious ink without all the silt and there's quite a lot of ink in there still. And these walnuts have definitely broken down more in the process of the cooking. They're a lot more squishy. Ew. Alright, now I'm going to let the rest of this sit and soak in this little pie tin that I will be able to reuse again. And untie, if we can. Get these gloves on. Untie my bundle and remove that elastic band. Remove that elastic band. And remove these walnuts from the cloth so that I can continue to wring out this cloth, this t-shirt, and make sure that I get all of the ink out of this shirt. And then we can process and remove the actual walnuts still. The actual nut, and use that still for baking and cooking the meat inside it. Definitely a messy process. Definitely. Alright, now to wring this out without getting any of that stuff in there, so that we can continue to cook this down to a nice, rich, thick ink. All right, now we've just got to boil this down for another couple of hours, and I'll let you know how it turns out in the next video. Okay, we're at part 3 of our how to make walnut ink. And as you can see, our black walnut ink has boiled down considerably to a small amount in this pot. Alright, we're at the point where we're going to add some of this gum arabic to make it a little bit thicker and consistency, and to help hold it to your watercolor paper. And we've got this Wheatley vodka, 2 ounces of it, to put in here for our preservative. And that. So let me set this camera up. Alright, and we've got the Wheatley's vodka that I'm just going to pour directly into the pot for our preservative. And that's going to help keep that from getting any mold in it as much as possible. Alright, and now I'm going to add about a couple of teaspoons of the gum arabic to the pot. I'm just going to put that in there. 1, and 2. Then we're going to take our spoon and just stir this up while it's warm. It's still warm. We'll whisk this down, get all the lumps out of it. Break that all down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this baby food jar. Alright, as I was saying, we're going to take and then after putting the gum arabic and the vodka in for our preservative, we're going to take this and put a little bit of it into this jar so that we can test it out on paper and see how it's going to do. And look on our watercolor paper. That is looking pretty dark and rich looking. So our next thing will be is to test it on some watercolor paper. You can see how dark it is on this paper towel right now to get an idea. It's pretty dark. So I think we've succeeded pretty good with our jar, first jar of homemade black walnut ink.